Hey everybody, my name's John. I am the singer for Pistols at Dawn, and my current favorite artist is Sleep Token.
You guys are on a lot of people's radars. You guys just put out a new song as well. You've got more coming. We'll talk about that. But let's start with Sleep Token. You said my current favorite artist, or one of your favorite artists. That makes me feel that you discovered this band not too long ago. Obviously, it's a newer band. We're not talking about the Rolling Stones here.
Yeah.
Let's start at the start. How do you get into this?
Originally, my girlfriend at the time, my girlfriend and now my wife, she showed me Sleep Token. She showed it to me first, and then my bandmates brought me into it a little later on. And I say current just because it flip flops back and forth. And but this one has been right now consistently like my favorites. Like I can always go back to it, and it's just there's something that resonated both between just the arrangement of the music, the lyrics, the lyrical content, the concept of everything. And I know the masks are sometimes a little bit overdone and like everyone ties it back to Slipknot, but having them be completely anonymous and then, creating this lore around kinda almost culty,
Very much so,
following.
yeah.
Yeah. There's something about them, something about Vessel's voice that just like draws you in.
Ooh, let's talk about chemistry, 'cause I'm dying to melt through to the heart.
I mean, it's hard not to be considered a cult leader if you call yourself a vessel in a way.
Yeah.
There's lots to talk about, lots to unpack, for sure, with a band like Sleep Token, who've exploded onto the scene in the last 10 years, really. Last album came out last year.
Yes.
Every album they put out, there's a lot of mixed reception to it. There's people that are extremely against it and people that are extremely diehard fans. For you, has every release been, a knockout of the park, or have you had your own ups and downs with this band?
So I've just loved everything. I've loved everything they put out from I was following them kind of since like that first full length album. The first song I heard from them was "The Night Does Not Belong to God," and that instantly, that when that first like piano melody comes in and it hooks you.
By daylight.
Since then, I mean, I've just been following. I have like two of their records, like "This Place Will Be Your Tomb." Although the second album wasn't everyone's like cup of tea. They were like, "Oh, this is not giving me the same feeling that I got with the first one." But it's a story progression, and like just to see them blow up the way they did on that third album, "Take Me Back to Eden," that set me over the edge. Like I think it proved to everyone, like, wow, this is an unstoppable force. And for me, the song that blew up on that third album was the craziest option because it's the most proggy one out of all of them. Because I come from like a progressive metal background. Because before I was in Pistols at Dawn, I was in a band called Luxrem, still in that band. But it's progressive metal, so of course we were drawn to Sleep Token. Of course we were drawn to all the little changes in atmosphere, in like pacing of the song. And like for a proggy song like what was it, The Summoning, to just set them through and like on TikTok have them blow up and everything, that was just crazy.
Yeah. And when we talk about, three specific songs that really stand out for you, is that one of them?
No, actually it isn't.
All right, so where are we gonna start?
So let's start with the first one I heard from them, "The Night Does Not Belong to God."
A bit of a statement straight away that, forget expectations when you listen to Sleep Token. You kind of don't know
Yeah.
what you're gonna get. if we look at the Pistols at Dawn in your own way, by pulling influences from a lot of different areas, your sound has been described as much as alternative rock as it's modern metalcore, like, and people are talking about the same song somehow. Is that one of the elements that for you is so important, because in your own band it's clear that you don't really follow the rule book too much?
I think if it happens naturally, it's great. I love that was able to happen, especially throughout the songs on the album that we recorded earlier this year in LA. We were able to get different flavors completely across the board, different flavors in it. And I thought that was super great. And yeah, Sleep Token that kind of does the same thing, in which one song is like a very poppy melody. The other songs, they hit you with like very chuggy riffs and breakdowns. And, I like that we're able to emulate a similar thing, but not on purpose necessarily, but because all of us have different flavors. I grew up on classic rock, but our bassist, he grew up on video game OSTs, and also like leans a lot towards like EDM kind of stuff. But then we meet each other in like the metal realm with artists like Periphery and Sleep Token and stuff like that. Yeah. And then our guitarist, he's Van Halen and classic 80s rock, Bon Jovi, that kind of stuff. And then Adam is very much Muse and like AC/DC, a little bit. I feel like he's a little bit mixed in his like musical influences, like I am. And it's just like when it all comes together, it just created this perfect blend of all of the voices, all of the songs within us.
We want to go into that album more, but before we do that, let's go back to Sleep Token. Have you seen the band live?
I have not. Unfortunately, I've wanted to so badly. However, I don't think I can warrant $1,200 for a ticket right now. I should have seen them before they blew up like this. And it took so long for them to come to the States, but then every time they were here, it's something in the way. They're not close enough, because like I live in Miami, and a lot of bands tend to skip Miami since it's all the way at the tip. They'll generally go Tampa, Orlando, and then go back up, or they come down to West Palm Beach or Fort Lauderdale, but never like by us. And Sleep Token has eluded me, unfortunately. I wish I could go see them. So hopefully next time they're here.
I'm sure you've seen some live footage though of the band, and when let's zoom in on Vessel for a second here, because you're the front man of Pistols at Dawn as well. You mentioned before, like the lore and the mask and what having the presence is one of the things that draws you to this band. You guys don't play with masks or at this point at least, insanely elaborate costumes and what have you. Even without those elements, does then a guy like Vessel like show you what it means to be a very captivating frontman? Like what are the lessons that you take from him that you translate into your own persona?
That's an interesting question. I mean, while we don't wear masks, like we're not necessarily the same people we are on stage versus off stage. I mean, on stage, I feel like it's more of a commanding presence. I don't really try at it. It just like comes out more of a commanding presence, more of, a little different, because usually I'm actually very introverted, like on a normal sense. I'm not really around people all that much. But then you come out and you have to kind of show the world what you can do. And Vessel, with the performances that I have seen from him, it's like he does his like tribal dancing kind of being taken over by the music, and then on the softer stuff, just very, very into the music. I think maybe I draw from that same thing of just feeling the music at the time, being into the music, and kind of letting that control what you do. Because with him, that's kind of what it looks like, because you can't see his facial expressions. You can only see the bottom part. So it's like the music's controlling him, like he's actually a vessel for what is being played, what is being created.
So crazy. How did you make me so?
I don't know if you've seen live footage of your second pick, or if it's more of a deeper cut. What is that second song that for you really stands out?
The second song would have to be Euclid off the new album.
Just run it back, give me 5 whole minutes. I am fixed out on the inside, burning.
They debuted it at their either at their Red Rocks one or another big show that they did. But if I pick The Night Does Not Belong to God as my first choice, and then have Euclid has to be the second choice, because that's the closing to that song, because it references that song again, and it gives you kind of like that nice bow on what they did for like the first three albums. And it's it's crazy to see how they could create that, and I'm so curious as to see what they do after this, because essentially the original vessel has now died, like part of the story and the lore. And if you look at the album art, it's Sleep holding Vessel's head in her hand, and that's like, oh my god, that was the ending of that arc. So what do we have next? And yeah, the first time I heard those notes returning as like the night belongs, and he says the night belongs to you, just can't help but shed a little tear and get emotional.
The night belongs to you. This power.
Is that something that you'd like to build as well then for your band, where there are, let's call them at least Easter eggs sprinkled out throughout the songs, and callbacks for the fans to pick up on? Because it is a very different approach.
Yeah. As much as I would love to do that didn't end up happening with this album. When, I love the idea of concept albums, like from a progressive metal band. So we've done stuff like concepts like that. In this one, it didn't. There are elements that will maybe place as like Easter eggs, maybe within the artwork or stuff like that. But in the song context itself, it's just everything on this album has just, like the first track that we released, has just been unapologetic. Not sorry. This is us. This is, all the baggage that we have from years prior, from the years trying to find this iteration of the band, all our own experiences just put into one song. Actually one of the first ones that Gabriel, the bassist, and I were on for the band, because we only recently joined last year. So this is our first creation with the band and our first release with the band, and it's so cool to have that be out there.
I can feel the hole inside your chest. Really hate this side.
A second album of a band tends to be pretty challenging. Then a first album is often, after years of playing or rehearsing and, fooling around and playing a few small shows for friends in some pubs and what have you. And the first album then tends to be some sort of a greatest hits collection of everything that you've worked on. But then all of a sudden, especially when some of those songs go, become very popular, maybe even viral, become radio hits, all of a sudden there's attention. And there's timelines and deadlines. And unless, the other members still had like a ton of stuff available from before, which I don't think is the case necessarily, now all of a sudden you have to create this new album in a much shorter time span. What was that like for you guys, especially as like joining a band in that kind of like in that part of the journey, if you will, where there is already attention, there's a professional team all of a sudden around this band, and you have to live up to some expectations?
So actually, it was not as difficult as you would think. Honestly, we wrote an entire album's worth of music together. It came so natural. Okay. And then our manager at the time said, "Scrap all that. I'm sending you to LA, and we're gonna work with some producers and some writers, because I feel like they can pull the absolute best out of you." and give you something that you didn't even think about. And the band before this album, it was a very like clear, almost post grunge kind of sound, very 2000s rock. And we were kind of still stuck in that mindset while we were writing it. So then we go to LA, we meet these producers, and we talk, we exchange stories, and we were all just very open to hearing what they can take out of us, what they can bring out of us. And when he said, no, we have to capitalize on each of your strengths. You have a good vocal range. You can do more of the pop in your vocals, have more of that influence. Your grooves can be like this. Guitarist, you have to have like some of those metal influences to bring that guitar to life, and that 80s rock influence that you have. Drummer, you got to keep that groove like heavy, hard hitting. And when we put all those elements together, that's kind of where songs like Not Sorry came out of, because it has these elements of like a heavy metal riff, like
it's all in there.
It's all in there, and then the chorus just hits, and it's like pop, very, very pop centered vocals. And working with these guys and being able to create this, and like I said before, just having a piece of each of our soul in there, I don't think that was very hard for us. I think that was just actually some of the most fulfilling times I've had as a musician.
You're gonna play all these new songs. You got a tour in Europe coming up with The Rock as well, which is really cool. We already know that you haven't seen Sleep Token so far. Maybe the stars align and you get to see a European show. Before we go into that tour and what to expect from that, let's go to our final pick. You started with the beginning of a journey, and you've already wrapped up with your second choice, that journey. So are we going somewhere completely different or not? What's your final pick there?
My final pick will have to be Bloodsport.
Wanna roll the numbers, wanna feel my stars.
That song, very heavy piano influence. There's also like an acoustic version, and they're both just captivating, and they tell this story of two lovers, and like, loving you is a blood sport. I make loving you a blood sport. I can't win. So it's really just, I don't know, I guess I'm a sucker for a tortured soul, because if you would have asked me a couple of artists and my favorite songs, it would have probably been the sad choices from them as well. But there's something, it does something to you when you hear the song end and you hear weeping, and you're like looking around you, just like, wait, where's that coming from? And then you realize he actually is crying on the track, and shows you how much he put into that song. And like, meaning aside, you feel what he felt when he wrote that song. So
Somewhere the atom stopped fusing.
You are also going to make your fans feel a lot of things, maybe cry, who knows? So these shows that are coming up, what can we all expect from them?
What you can all expect from them is we are playing only the new songs. It's gotten to the point where it just feels right. You're gonna expect high energy from all of us. You're gonna expect crazy solos and riffs and twists and turns, and just us doing what we love and what we were put on this earth to do. So should, in 10 years from now, and we look back, should we look at this is the real debut then that's coming? I think so. I think this is the unveiling to the world. Pistols at Dawn.
All right, there we go. And maybe Sleep Token will unveil, or Vesa will unveil himself as well. Who knows? We'll see what's next in that saga. John, thank you so much for sharing with us your passion about Sleep Token, and telling us more about everything we need to know about Pistols at Dawn. Thank you so much, man. I really look forward to seeing you guys on the road. I hope to catch your shows, and after you've completed European tour, book some shows in Canada and come up here. We'll want to see you.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you for having me, Jasper. Everyone tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Follow Pistols at Dawn. Come on the journey with us.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.